Speaking of advice, salute to Killer Mike. It kind of goes back to some of the conversations we were having earlier about marriages and specifically something that's a bit more potentially prevalent in certain black and brown cultures, child support. Man. Uh, Suto, welcome to the culture page. Wow, it looks like Killer Mike has a foolproof plan. I don't know about foolproof, but he has a foolproof plan to end the child support system, especially in the black community. At the same time, increase the marriage between young men and women. It seems like this is a plan he's thought through. He's thought through out for years. Do you think this could work? Well, let's hear what the plan. Let's hear what the plan entails.
I think the solution is this, and I'm out your way. Um, 2 years. Young woman gets pregnant as a teenager, young man and woman get pregnant. This is the 2 year plan. First 2 years are debt free. You don't have to pay the government anything back. So she doesn't get to drag him into court and the court doesn't say you owe us money for investing in your child through food programs, through early Head Start programs. Because in those 2 years, the boy has the option, or not even the option, he has the demand of the co-man to then go to a trade school. You have to go to a trade school, which incentivizes the United States to do it because we need more tradespeople. We don't have enough carpenters, we don't have enough electricians, we don't have enough people building roads.
On that.
In my community, the girls are going to college and graduating. They have no men to marry because the boys are not going to college in the same way. My teachers were married to a tradesman. My teacher, who we call doctor, her husband owned a locksmith company. Her husband was a carpenter, was a mechanic. So
So let's go, Mike. He speaks passionately, just like how he raps. Let's hear a bit more, and we can dive into it.
So they had a good life. Their kids went to school right the same schools we went to. I think that the incentive to solving the child support problem and a part of solving our infrastructure problem is to incentivize young boys who have gotten a girl pregnant. You must now go through 2 years of trade school.
Well, wait a minute. So, okay, I like what
Oh,
you're
let me give
saying.
you the rest of the answer first.
Okay, go ahead.
After that boy graduates, you get a further incentive if you and the girl marry. If you and the girl marry, we'll give you these incentives: zero finance home loans, something out of HUD besides an apartment with a leaky faucet and rats and roaches in it, but incentivize marriage, which then strengthens our community, the black community, and strengthens the greater community because now you have more American marriages, you have people with stronger financial stability, and you have tradespeople married to women of education, and you begin to recreate communities like what Auburn Avenue was, what Edgewood was. I believe you could do this from the executive order because the money that Ford funnels down from the feds through the states to
He's definitely thought about this video, and he's spoken about. If you listen to the average Killer Mike interview, he's talking this type of talk. He's very consistent. That's why you got to give the brother a bit of respect. Um, but yeah, I guess we can start diving into it. I mean, based off what we're starting here, what do we think? Does it sound like feasible solutions? Do you think like do you believe that we could live in a world in which the powers that be, the government, however you want to classify it, provide some incentives for marriage, and also makes it towards if you do find yourself in a position where you are creating a family, you are mandatorily have to go into some type of trade system. Who do we start off with last time? Uh, I forget. What do you think, Ace?
I don't know. This is a complex one.
Hey, that's what we're here for, the complex on conversations.
All right,
Yes,
so
let's go.
considering it as being fully incentive based, if the dude goes to a trade school, there's some um I've already kind of forgotten what he said about the
We can play it if it needs to
benefits
be.
there. Let me play the first part real quick.
We want to get the full context so we can respond intelligently, critically.
So back to child support. I think the solution is this, and I'm out your way. Um, 2 years. Young woman gets pregnant as a teenager, young man and woman get pregnant. This is the 2 year plan. First 2 years are debt free. You don't have to pay the government anything back. So she doesn't get to drag him into court and the court doesn't say you owe us money for investing in your child through food programs, through early Head Start programs. Because in those 2 years, the boy has the option, or not even the option, he has the demand of the co-man to then go to a trade school. You have to go to a trade school, which incentivize the United States to do it because we need more tradespeople.
We
We
do.
don't have enough carpenters. We don't have enough electricians.
Okay. So the dude has to go to a trade school in
You
order to
got
get
to
the
go.
benefit of being debt free for 2 years and being able to get government assistance with food programs and things like this. And
That's part of
then
it.
after the 2 years, they're incentivized to get married, and if they
Yep.
do, they get they get
Support with like
better.
loans when it comes to
You're right,
housing and things of that
right. Yep,
nature.
yep, 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 yep. Yeah. I mean, it all seems good, and it all seems good.
Okay. How like if
Yeah,
Killer Mike was running for office, you'd vote.
yeah. I mean, there's no inherent like negative that I can think of. The only thing is, would it actually work?
Oh well,
And
let me introduce you to some. So you're telling me, and even though he's saying you would be, uh, not forced, you would be demanded to do this. Obviously, no one can actually force you to do something. You just want to get the benefits of it. But you're
right.
telling me a young man that gets a sister pregnant. You're telling me all of a sudden, like even though I had aspirations of being an entertainer or a
Right.
doctor or like something that does require the level of sports. I'm like looking like I'm about to go into D1 school. All of that is looking good for me. But you're telling me now because I got a young girl pregnant, I have to pursue trade school, and
Right.
also, uh, we going back to what we were talking about before. It seemed like you guys do want some level of separation between what the government is uh, supporting when it comes to mating. So, are we cool? Or would we be cool with the government being involved when it comes to marriages? Just because it gives you a little housing bonus. Not a little housing, but honestly, if they were to like literally give us like loans for for getting married, so we can buy houses, that would be a incredibly beneficial thing. But in general, because
Well, yeah. I
it
mean,
can start off with the housing, and then maybe you know once you start, if you have a couple kids, then we'll pay for that too. Like, where does the rabbit? How far does the rabbit go?
yeah. I mean, if we think about this in terms of the previous conversation, um, and we extend it out according to Ghost extrapolation, there could definitely be like certain communities more heavily incentivized than others, and all this type of stuff. Um, but but um, like if there is any help in terms of monetary help or again like tax breaks or these type of things, it's still help. So from the perspective of not wanting the government to get involved, I think there's much less of a pushback in my mind, um again because any help is help,
Yeah,
or for the from the perspective of the person. um but yeah, I mean, going back to what you're saying about just the general mentality of um the young men and women in these situations, um I mean, you're 100% right that there's no guarantee that anybody is going to see this as a good thing, or a as a better route than what they were already planning to do or planning to pursue or saw for their future. So
yeah. A world in which the government is pretty much gearing you towards a certain direction in life. Don't that sound like some socialist type time?
I mean, yeah, um yeah, it does. But if it's not forced, uh, how much can you really say against it? Like, so that's the thing. Like, if it's not forced, the people are still free to do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's not
You
forced,
try to
but
pursue.
it's obviously there's a difference between something that's like incentivized and damn near would be demonized.
What do you mean?
Like there's like if you were in that predicament, there's clearly one route that I know like the government would be pushing you towards.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like, who cares? And in terms of that, who really cares? Like, what the government wants you to do? If the government wants you to get a trade because you got a girl pregnant early in life, you're either going to decide to do it or not to do it. Like, and you're either going to be completely, I mean, not completely for it, but you might be completely against it. You might be
It's not a
pissed
balanced
about
choice.
it.
Is
It
all I'm
doesn't.
saying.
What you say?
It's not a balanced choice. Is all I'm saying. Because in one option, according to Killer Mike, you get one's you're tax free, another one you still have to go through the rigmarole of the IRS and societal system.
But you would have had to do that anyway.
This is true.
So I think that's my point. Is like, from a societal perspective, implementing this doesn't inherently make anything worse, and it can only be a positive for the people. I mean, it's very likely to be a positive for the people who take advantage of it. So
That's a better way to say it. It's very likely to be positive.
yeah. Not 100% guarantee, but very likely.
All right.
So
And just one more thing. While although obviously I generally trust Killer Mike's intention, I think we always have to be careful when we think of like ways in which we can like try to not get around or any sense, but like when we try to like manipulate or change up the child support system because the child support system is already pretty jacked up, and like people are always gonna find a ways to like circumvent paying what they owe to the children. But I guess oh sorry, yeah, Ghost, what do you think of Killer Mike's solution? Are you on board? Would you vote for his brother if he would put these policies in place?
Saying you're gonna vote for someone based off of a single policy is kind of crazy, but I just kind of not the point. I
I feel like that's what
I
most
am
people do
for
anyway,
the
but
intent. I mean, there's some of the details I think could use some tweaking. Like this could be because you were talking about earlier, where if someone else wanted to go on a different track, but now they're kind of derailed because they have to sign up for this program. It could just be an opt-in thing where you decide if you want to go this route or not. Um, but in general, I am for it if some of the issues got like ironed out because it serves the purpose of providing a long-term solution that if you complete the program then you'll be able to provide for your child as needed, not just for the short term but way down the line as they're growing up, because you'll have a steady job and a steady field that you're proficient in, which
what are
I'm
the things you say
100%
that what
for.
are the things you say that are not?
I mean, for one, like the trade school requirement, I think that can get a little potentially a little shaky because cool, we're doing going to trade school. Where are the trade schools located? Are there any near these specific uh
Mm.
brothers that need it? If not, is it going to be transportation provided?
Hire
What's the
people to
quality
build a
of
trade
these
school. What do
trade
you mean?
schools? What is you say it like it's easy.
I'm being facetious, obviously.
I know, but it's like
Location is obviously a super relevant thing to your point.
yeah, and that's one part of it, and another part is what if the demand for tradesmen in that area isn't really high, and they go to the trade school, they get their they finish their program, but they need to commute an hour away to actually employ those skills? What if the this program becomes so popular that the demand for tradesmen is vastly reduced, and they won't you're spitting out tradesmen and there's nowhere for them to work? What if they
I
start
don't
the
know if that's
program?
realistic. If that's a realistic
It might not be,
worry.
but I mean, in some areas, I mean, it kind of inevitably it will be. Overall, I'm not sure. Like, again, I don't
Yeah,
know what
like
the demand is.
yeah, like 100 years, like 100 years down the line.
I don't know about that, but uh, that's kind of like an unknown potential concern. Another thing is, what if they start the program but aren't able to finish for some reason due to either extenuating circumstances or anything that may come up? Like, there, there's a lot of different like little moving pieces that are there could be problems with it, but again, I think overall the general concept and the general idea is positive and is something that could be tweaked and workshopped to be implemented, and it's a lot better than the current state of things where a lot of the times you'll have uh, teens or young men that are kind of, I don't want to say trapped into it, but they kind of don't have any options as far as like what their future is. They're locked into finding something so they can provide for a family now, or the family members of the mother or the father kind of have to step up and provide that
Yep.
financial support, and it might not be feasible or it might put unnecessary strain on them. So I think it's better than the current state of things. It's something that, again, it has the right mind, the right way of going about things, as far as trying to improve it for the long term and improve the system around the child versus just paying X amount of money a month and the whole family falls apart because dad can't be there for the children because he has to work all the time, or the dad's a deadbeat and doesn't want to provide, or there's a whole bunch of you don't have to get into
It's a
the
vicious cycle.
litany of things. Yeah. So overall, I do think it's positive.
Nice. And yeah, absolutely. Like, I think he just kind of given Killer Mike's giving the overall perspective of his what his proposed solution is. But like, yeah, obviously, if we were to try to implement these things into actual policies, you definitely have to make sure like it's actually feasible for the broad audience, because there's a number of factors that could put a wrench in something to make it not something we would actually want to implement for everyone. So yeah, I guess on how we agree. I'm gonna be honest. You guys are kind of making me feel like I can have all hot takes tonight, basically. Salute to Killer Mike. I've thought about things like this as well. I'm always thinking about what we could better do to improve our community. And I'm gonna be honest. He's talking about like something you could do to help out families and help out young brothers and sisters when they have children, early in their life. I say we implement this for men across the board. If you have a child, one of my hot takes I've been thinking about recently, and it's also been kind of sparked by some of the conflict around the world. Like, we just have it so, and we don't even think about it. We have it so soft and nice in the states. Like, do people ever stop and think about like what's going on in like Ukraine and stuff like that? Where like the men just can't leave, like borderline just can't leave. You have to remain in your country. Like, I'm be honest. If I was in power, all young men out of high school, yeah, you either got to go to trade school and or you have to pretty much join the military. And be honest with you, I think in this society, especially in the Black and Brown community, this is emphasis on like once you get to high school, you have to like formulate this plan and start getting it going. I think society would be better built off if we focus on like actually like I don't want to say training, even though some of it would be training, but like gearing our young men to best serve society. And I know that does kind of come into conflict because I am still a big proponent of like having very having your freedom, and I know like it often comes to issue with like places like South Korea, like in Korea. My apologies, I don't know specifics. I
And
know.
then North Korea is the one that's the bad one.
Well, I'm not. It's not a good or bad thing, but I know in one of them, maybe even both of them, you have to join the military at some point, and that can sometimes conflicts with people that want to pursue other things in life. Like they have to take that time off from their what they're chasing in life to do that. So I can understand that being a problem, especially when you start doing something from a young age. So I would, even in what I'm envisioning, I would like a system in which people can pursue like young athletes can still go into their desire. Young I don't want to say entertainers, but people that are pursuing certain things can go into one if they built something especially. But as a whole society, especially for young men that don't really have a good grasp on where they want to go and what they want to do, put them in trade school, mandatorily put them in maybe not the full on military. Like I'm not saying you have to send people overseas, but they have to have that like. And that's another thing. I just hear so many young brothers these days, and they don't necessarily have they don't really have discipline, and it's like, bro, if shit were to ever get even a little shaky, it's like people want to know what to do. Like we got like I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little too crazy, and I'll calm down my hot take a bit. But I think we could exist in a world in which the country or the nation is like, hey, we are going to help shape our young men. So in the future, like things look way different. Like imagine a young man comes out of high school and he doesn't really know what to do. You put him in like it don't have to be a whole like 4 year program. It could just be like a quick year of like a discipline every day. They get up early, they work out. Man, that's good. Now that'll be a whole different nation. But honestly, don't vote for me to be president. Ah, and again, salute to Killer Mike. Um, you know, one of the big things is it's always better for somebody to have solutions than to constantly complain.